What's going on? What's going on? If you're watching live or on archive, hit that like button, hit the bell so you're notified, and subscribe if you like the content. This is D-Style Boxing, being joined by the one and the only Cali X Boxing. Yes, you're watching live on Cali X Boxing. Subscribe to my channel, D-Style Boxing, by the way. All right? Make sure you do that. Calix, we're on Thursday. I think people are thinking it's Monday all of a sudden. People are like, wait, it's the start of the week?
Let's go. HCP 106. This is HCP 106. Let's go. HCP on Cali X Boxing on Thursdays. Let's go.
People are like, I thought it was the end, almost the end of the week. It's Monday. What? No, ladies and gentlemen, the weekend is almost here. All right. Shout out to Chauncey Pearls and Manny in Vivo Marrero. He says, Wepa in Vivo. Shout out to you, brother. Hey, Calix, I don't know if you heard. A little birdie. All right. A little birdie called Cappinger. He's always around chirping. You know what I mean? He always shows up. You know, and he says, February 29th. It's the rescheduled date of the one and the only Virgil Ortiz and Stanionis, April 29th. It looks like it's going to be, successfully got rescheduled. It looks like they're ready to rock and roll. All right. They're ready to rock and roll, and this ain't the 50s. So they're ready to go. You know what I mean?
Let's go.
I think Stanionis just signed his, the end of his.
Whoa.
Like that. This is it. Well, I guess my last dance champion is April 29th.
You think he's done? I don't think so.
Correct.
First of all, let me compliment you on saying we debated this a week and a half ago, saying should Virgil Ortiz wait around for Stanionis, and Stanionis had the appendix injury, push the fight back 6 weeks, or should he stay on the date? I said he should have stayed on the date. That way he can get his fights in, and then Stanionis fight him in May or April. But it's looking like this fight is being rescheduled in April, and that's a good look. So congratulations to you on being right on that if this fight goes through. Crazy things have been happening in boxing the past few years, so this could possibly be postponed again. That's the risk that they run. That's the risk that Virgil Ortiz's team runs here. This is appendix injury. It's serious. So let's hope that this fight goes planned April 29th. Now, as far as the fight, this is a beautiful fight for several reasons. Big implications for leverage at welterweight division. This has been a largely dumpster juice division, the 147-pound division. A lot of talent, a lot of potential, but a lot of not fighting each other. A lot of posturing, a lot of guys all in the same room just not throwing a punch, right?
I know what.
So finally, somebody's going to throw a punch. We had Crawford Avenez in the top 10 fight. We had Errol Spence Ugas, the top 10 fight, but Bud against Errol, we did not have. And on top of that, they locked the division, and the belts are consumed by those two fighters. Unfortunately, you got one of them with 3 belts, going to fight at 154 in a non-title fight. So this will give us some movement in the division, some answers, and I'll tell you what. Emilio Estevez Stanionis is undervalued at 3.5 to 1 underdog. I will tell you that.
Estevez? That's his middle name?
He is undervalued at 3.5 to 1. D-Style.
Is that his appeal to the Latino fan base? He's trying to become HCP or what? Like, what's going on?
Do you know what the other top 10 matchup in welterweight, the third one in 2022 was? It was Stanionis versus Butayev. And Stanionis won the fight. And Stanionis clearly won the fight, and he looked good in the fight.
He looked really good.
I thought Butayev was going to have more moments. So, and on top of that, Stanionis has been getting paid step-aside money from Errol Spence's team for quite some time, 2 or 3 times. So this is a guy who deserves respect in the division. This is a guy who's right there with Virgil Ortiz. I think Virgil Ortiz wins the fight. I'm high on him, but I'm telling you.
Ladies and gentlemen, all that just to say, but Virgil's going to win. Like everybody knows he's good. It's a wrap. He signed his last date, April 29th, according to the little birdie Coppinger. I just want to say one more thing about this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, look. I know that Virgil. I'm sorry, not Virgil. Spence. They're both from Dallas, probably why. So I know Spence and Crawford have basically locked themselves. Like they've they've locked themselves up, right? They've locked up the division, 3 keys and everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Holding it hostage. Okay. They've barricaded themselves while all the other fighters are outside of, yo, we want to fight for these belts. What's going on? No. Right? We got these young, hungry lions wanting to fight. So I do want to give Estevez, okay, who will be a future HCP probably with that middle name, right? We need to give Estevez credit for saying, you know what? I know there's guys like these style out there running their mouth saying I can't win this fight, but you watch, okay? I just had surgery in my estómago and I'm ready to go. Have you seen that Simpsons episode where Simpsons watching a Spanish like cartoon and the guy goes, "Ay, mi estómago," like, you know what I mean? That's Daniel Onis, but Estevez, Bruce Goss in the building. Look at this. He's probably already smoking a blunt. Robert, shout out to my big bro.
I'm just telling you, that is not a 3.5 to 1 favorite fight. That's close to even odds fight. Those are 2 guys in the top 10. Virgil Ortiz better be careful here because Emilio Estevez Stanionis has a style that can give Virgil trouble. That is going to be a fight of the year candidate right there. These styles are you're already moving past that fight like it's nothing.
I already got the after party ready. Like I'm already ready to go.
I'm telling you, that is a fight of the year candidate. Stanionis is going to be in that fight. That is scary.
Look,
it's a scary fight.
You know it. These styles, he just said, "I know." That's what he just said. Or he's probably commenting about the blunt, but still.
And look, we got Beterbiev fighting this weekend. Oof. And this is what's beautiful. Oh, let me bring up the super chat. My bad, Nando. Our guy Nando in the building. Salute and respect to HCP in the chat. Jab, and thanks to Nando for coming through early today. Early. So props to Nando for the super chat. Definitely appreciate that. Let me remove the super chat real quick, then I'll bring it back up. This is the betting odds. Arthur Beterbiev, 9 to 1 favorite against Yarde. Over under 5.5 rounds. So the odds makers are telling us this fight's going to get dicey, likely for Yarde in the middle rounds.
Damn.
Here's the thing about this fight. It wasn't our best option, right? Beterbiev versus Bivol was there. Didn't make it. Bob Arum said, no, we're going to do the Yarde fight. Then they had to go do the Zerto fight on the other side. Then Bivol's likely going to fight Canelo in September. And then who knows what Beterbiev does after this. But in the meantime, we've got a guy who has knocked out 18 opponents in 18 fights, 100% KO percentage. This is great for boxing, and the fact that this guy is fighting this weekend is great for us. First of all, looking at this, what do you see here? What do you see? Like, is this properly valued? I think this is properly valued. 9 to 1? I think it's okay.
Yeah, look, Anthony Yarde, I see a lot of people saying, oh, you guys watch out. Anthony Yarde, he's dangerous in the first 3-4 rounds. They ain't wrong. He is dangerous over the first 3-4 rounds. Beterbiev is dangerous for all 12 rounds. I've seen this guy knock guys out in the first. I've seen him break that dudes down and stop them mid-rounds, late stoppage. I've seen him do everything, right? So make no mistake about it. I think the odds make sense. Like I think like they do. Because there's a possibility that Yarde could pull it off at least early. And you'll see, because sometimes they have like live odds. Once the 3rd, 4th round passes, I think people will notice, if you follow live odds, that it's going to be even greater than plus 600. Yeah. It's going to be like plus 1,200 or something, because
they're 15 to 1, 16 to 1.
And what's like the reason it's out wider is because of the danger of the first 3-4 rounds. And I'm going to tell you right now, if I was the odd makers, I would actually make it like +5, +4. To be honest with you, the reason I would do that as a book is only because of this. Okay. If I was in charge of, if I had a say in the odds, I would just simply say, you know what, make it a little shorter, because there's a possibility, because Beterbiev's been hurt before, he's been dropped before by guys that don't hit as hard as Yarde. right? Now, granted, those same guys didn't hit as hard as Smith either. So like, you know, it is what it is. But I think Yarde is the hardest puncher that Beterbiev's ever fought. On the flip side, who hits harder? I mean, Kovalev or Beterbiev? I'm not sure, but this is a better version of Beterbiev than that was a better version of Kovalev. So I would bank on Kovalev actually to answer that question. But to me, would you have done the odds for a little short just because of the danger of the first few rounds? If you like, you know what I mean?
No, I think it's properly said, but anytime I want to highlight this right here, because anytime the method of result, you have one that's far in the negative, 3.5 to 1, and then the rest of them are in the positive.
Right.
They're pretty positive that there's going to be a Beterbiev KO. This is heavily favored towards a Beterbiev KO. And it's heavily favored towards the reason I like Beterbiev by middle round stoppage is I thought middle round stoppage for Joe Smith Jr., but Joe Smith Jr. came out super aggressive and Beterbiev took advantage of it. Generally speaking, when a Beterbiev fights, the opponent has some moments early in the fight, right? So Beterbiev gets warmed up and then it's like, whoa, the guy that I saw on film that I thought maybe had some deficiencies, that guy is not here anymore. All right, Beterbiev, I fully think is one of those guys that you watch him on film. Sometimes he even looks like he might look pedestrian to you on film if you're the opponent watching him. But I think when you get in there, it's something different. I think when you get in there and you feel the heavy hands, both hands heavy, I think it's something different. And then he pours it on. He's one of those guys who knows how to finish, D-style. He knows how to finish. He knows how to methodically break opponents down. And he's
in multiple ways.
He's a scary dude. He's a scary dude. 18-0, 18 KOs with decent competition up until this point. And Yarde isn't a step up for Beterbiev. It's really not. But for Yarde, Beterbiev is a huge step up. I'm just not big on Yarde like a lot of other people's. I think
shout out to the UK. Lions in the camp, Calix. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? That's one of the best hashtags ever. Hashtag Lions in the camp.
Look, and I've heard it all. Like this has been a big ceremony for Yarde this week. I feel like everybody's falling in love with the Yarde story. He came from nothing. He came from the streets. Look, I don't care what he came. I had a meal. I was homeless. Look, that's fine. All that's fine. All I'm saying is not going to prepare you for a dude.
He's the main dog in the yard because his name is Yarde. Okay.
What I'm saying is not going to prepare you for a dude who he's like a grizzly bear in there. I'm telling you, it's not going to prepare you. 38 years old, 39. I get it. But this ain't the guy that's going to expose.
I don't know. Teen Wolf. Remember that movie, Teen Wolf, when he became a boxer? I don't know. He grew up and like took it serious now. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know what the hell's going on over here. But yo, Team Batman Boxing says Yarde does have plenty of speed and power. Obviously, favorite better be his power and skill and technique. But we'll be very excited. Well, here's what I will say. I mean, he said it himself. He's slow. Calix, like the speed of Kovalev worries me a little bit. Like it worries me because like. He throws a punch and it gives me time to worry about it. Like, you know what I mean? It's like a long, like he's not that fast. And Yarde, you got to give him this. He's faster than him. He's got power. The dude's been dropped before. You know what I mean? Like I love Lions in the camp, bro. But like I told Boxing Wave, the Lions gonna go in a freaking Shark Tank.
People fall in love with stories. Get emotional, and they fall in love with the underdog. All I'm telling you is this underdog is not going to win. Beterbiev train continues to roll, and Errol Spence is out there picking Yarde. You got several fighters out there picking Yarde. You got some journalists out here. Oh, I like the upset this weekend. Beterbiev's 38 years old. Did Beterbiev look 38 years old against Joe Smith Jr.?
Can I ask you this? Do people make a lot of knockdowns? Like, because, and I'll tell you why. Till this day, people bring up the fact that Cunningham dropped Fury. Like they still bring it up. I still bring it up because I don't like Fury, right? So I'm gonna bring it up. God damn it, you know I need something done, dude. You know what I mean? But like in all seriousness, it doesn't really matter. Tim Tszyu, he already got exposed. He got dropped. Okay, like what? Like, you know who else was dropped? Ali was dropped by Cooper before his fight with Liston. And that's why Ali was such a big, like in hindsight, a young Cassius Clay was like, didn't even lose a round. It's amazing that he was 6-1 underdog. Now, Liston was a beast. But the fact that Cooper hurt him and dropped him had a lot to do why he was such a big underdog. But if he got dropped by Cooper, and we do this as boxing fans. Like, well, if this dude dropped him, what do you think this guy's going to do to him? Like, that's just what we do. Like, Cunningham dropped him, therefore Wilder's going to fucking annihilate this dude. And it just, what happened? But when Wilder hit him with the right hand, he did drop him, but he got up. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, like, they're doing it to Tim Tszyu. Well, Gachet dropped him, so they don't mention the fact that he got up and won every second of every round for the rest of the fight. You know what I mean? But look, Boone dropped and hurt, I believe, both Kovalev and Ward. I mean, it is what it is, right? So I think I think they're making a lot out of the knockdowns, okay, that he was in. And I think those things, they happen. And guess what? Like, these guys, they go back to the drawing board, they watch their own film, they watch their mistakes, and they improve them. And I do believe that Beterbiev's a guy that does his homework and he improves. And I think I seen that. I seen that in the Joe Smith fight. You know what I mean? It didn't last long, but I see it in those fights. And just one more comment here from Ricardo. Salud, fellas. An important question is this: will the winner of the fight, will the winner fight Bivol to unify, or will boxing politics shit on the possibility of undisputed 175? I got Beterbiev by KO. And look, I'll answer that really quick. I just think that I hope the fight happens, but if by politics you mean Bivol going for the bag against Canelo, I won't blame Bivol if he does fight Canelo, to be honest, especially if he's willing to go down to 168 and fight for a dispute it and then try to do it again in 2 weight classes. You know, I can't blame the guy for that, me personally. And also, really quick, not that I want to go back or anything like that. You know what I mean? Chauncey Pearls, what if Yarde pulls off the Hail Mary? That would be so awesome. You know, I agree. Okay, but Chauncey Pearl says he's standing on the square, Calix, that Stanionis, I just want to put him on record right now. We're going to put him on record here live on HCP. Stanionis going to beat Virgil Ortiz in a slobber knocker of a fight. I already got the party lighting up, you know what I mean? So it is what it
will be a slobber knocker of a fight, but I do like Virgil Ortiz to get past the Stanionis test.
Now everybody keeps bringing up Bivol, right? Somebody brought up, Bivol. What about Bivol? And look, everybody knows, believe it or not, and people won't believe this, I'm a big fan of Bivol's, okay? I talk very highly of Bivol. Everybody knows that. But there's somebody else in the division, all right? His name is Callum Smith. You know, I don't think people should sleep on him. 6'5"? I think you're related, Callum. I think he's like the British version of Calix. You know what I mean? But no, for real. I think, what is he? 6'6"? I forget how tall the dude is. He's huge. Okay, he's up there. You know what I mean? I know the Smith vine. Oh, and the Canelo. Okay, the Canelo wine, the Smith vine, it keeps aging like fine wine. You know what I mean? And is it possible that he, you know, he's got to be in the mix, right? He's put a dude in a stretcher. Some even say that this is a better weight class for him. Like, he's not struggling to make the weight as much. So he's stronger in his weight class. And I believe it, right? Should the winner of this fight, you know, because I think Bivol's going to fight Canelo, in fairness. So should the winner of this fight give Callum Smith his shot? You know what I mean? Like, and does because I think Callum Smith can beat Yarde, first of all. If Yarde let's say, lands a Hail Mary shot, right? And knocks out Kovalev and then fights Smith, I would actually favor Smith. All right. And I think Smith will be the underdog because Yarde just beat Kovalev. I'm sorry, Beterbiev.
Mm-hmm.
I like the fight. I like Callum Smith for the winner. That's me.
I like Callum Smith for the winner, and Eddie Hearn said he will be next for the winner. Now, there are better options on the table once again, but if Bivol is going to be busy with Canelo in the Canelo rematch, which looks like it's going to happen, right? Callum Smith beat John Ryder, right? He beat John Ryder before he fought Canelo. Canelo's his only loss. He's moving up to 175, two straight knockouts he's coming off of. So to segue into Callum Smith for Beterbiev, I think is good. I think Beterbiev needs to fight 2 or 3 times this year. He's getting an early fight in. The guy is up there in age, stay active, so at least get a second fight in. So why not do Beterbiev versus Callum Smith right around the same time? Do it August, September, and then have Bivol versus Canelo. That way, if Bivol beats Canelo in the rematch, Beterbiev beats Callum Smith, then you can segue into Bivol versus Beterbiev in early 2024. But the bigger story here to me is how boxing power brokers can get in the way of fights that need to be made, right? Is we always have better options on the table than the fights that they give us. They give us fights when they're out of expiration date, and when they're within the expiration date, they don't give them to us. Like it's like, no, you're close, and then they pull it from you. You're close again, right. They pull it from you. They're doing the same thing here. And I just felt like instead of Bob Arum coming out the day before Beterbiev versus Joe Smith Jr. and saying, we're going to do the Yarde fight next, and have Yarde show up to the fight and sort of pouring cold water on the event, I think they should have built that up after Beterbiev. What better time to do it? Beterbiev knocks out Joe Smith Jr. in New York. Bivol upsets Canelo. Why not segue into Undisputed then? But the power brokers, once again, getting in the way of a fight that should be happening. And that's my point is, at this point, I think it's 50-50 whether Beterbiev versus Bivol happens. It's 50-50. The more you let these fights marinate.
I'll take 50-50.
It's to over-marination process now. It's to over-marination status now. You're starting to talk about 2024 for this fight, because Bivol has plans with Canelo. You could have done this fight by now. Bivol could possibly be undisputed at 175, facing off against the undisputed fighter at 168 in a rematch in September. High stakes fight. And you could have had Bivol versus Beterbiev done already, undisputed. But instead, they let it marinate. Do you agree with 50-50 odds for this fight in 2024? Do you think somebody's going to spoil this?
I think 50-50 is being generous. I just think they have other plans. And here's the thing, right? I don't like it, but I understand, like, from like a Eddie Hearn perspective, like, he's got money on the line with these guys. He's investing with these guys. You know what I mean? And a bulldozer like Beterbiev could ruin all that for him. You know what I mean? So like, he's looking at it as, well, I got Bivol, I got Canelo, I got Callum Smith. How can I make this guy fight and then me make as much money as possible, right? I think that has a lot to do with it. So if I'm Eddie Hearn, gotta be honest with you guys, I want the Canelo rematch more so than throwing Bivol in there with Beterbiev. That's me. You know what I mean? But then there's a balance, a counterbalance. And the counterbalance is, if these fighters put their foot down, and we've seen it happen, and say, look, I don't give a shit what you want. I want to fight this dude. I think I could beat him, right? Fights can happen that way, okay? And I think as fans, we need to stop giving fighters, and we're going to talk about that in another topic in a little bit, but we've got to stop giving fighters the green light to duck under the guise of, oh, well, you know, it's the guys with the suits. It's not me. If I would have done it if I wanted to, but they don't let me. No, like fighters have more control than people think. Like fighters have a big say. They may not always get what they want, but they can steer the ship towards a certain direction. Yeah. And we know that because you see it with certain fighters and others you don't, right? Like, it's all behavioral. And Bivol right now, he literally, like, he talks shit to Eddie Hearn all the time. You know what I mean? Like, after the fight, oh, sorry, Eddie, I know I ruined your plans, but it is what it is. And Eddie's like, well, at 175, I want Beterbiev. Like it's just what it's to him. It's like, what are y'all talking about? Of course I want Beterbiev. Of course I want Undisputed. And then he's the one that brought up 168 because he saw no value in fighting Canelo again. Like, and think about it. What does it do for him to beat Canelo again at 175? It does nothing. He's something he already did. So for him, it's like, well, for the belts, 168 maybe, but you know, what's in it for me? You know, like, so. Yeah. I think 50-50 is generous. I think there's maybe a 20% chance the fight happens this year.
Whoa.
I don't think it's likely. I hope I'm wrong, But because there's Canelo in the mix, because he'll rather throw, if you're Eddie Hearn, well, let me give my other dude a shot. Hey, Callum, go get him. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like maybe Callum pulls it off, and I get 2 cracks at Kovalev. I'm sorry, I keep on Kovalev. They're all Russian. Sorry, I get 2 cracks at Beterbiev. 2. There goes our Russian fan base. You know what I mean? Like it is. All 5 people that watch from Russia, they're gone.
Yeah, so I think we see Callum Smith next, and I think we see Canelo next for Bivol, and I think we hopefully get this fight in 2024. I think that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of other fights not happening, Regis Prograis continues to get the quack treatment at 140.
Nobody ducks. No one ducks. Just come on.
We can't call fighters ducks. And, I saw Rick Marijan going at it with Dan Rafael earlier. And Dan Rafael, to his credit on this one, is saying what everybody else out there is saying is like, did you really offer a real deal for 40% to get this guy in the ring? Was there ever a real deal? Because nobody believes that. It's sort of like that Andre Ward email that they sent to Golovkin after they sold out Madison Square Garden for the Lemieux pay-per-view. It's like the alibi, right? Let me slip you an alibi here. That way we can fool the people into believing that we really wanted to fight. Fight fans need to be more educated than that and realize that some of these fighters don't want certain fights. We need to be able to see through the business lingo, and we need to demand what we want as fight fans. We don't need to be speaking up for these fighters and these managers and doing their work for them and acting like managers and saying, hey, look, he's right. 35, 40, they just asked for 5. No. You got to make the fight happen. This didn't need to go to purse split. And the same thing with Teofimo Lopez Sr. out there saying that Regis Prograis fight doesn't make sense for them because of 35% split. You don't have to go to a purse split. Regis Prograis is not out there demanding 65% against these guys. When is somebody gonna make an honest offer to Regis Prograis to fight?
Yes.
As Regis Prograis, I don't know what you do at this point. I'm not saying anybody's a boogeyman. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is clearly, even though he's
the boogeyman, he's el cucuy.
they're still not fighting him.
He's the cucuy. No. Look. I am tired, okay, of dudes out here. It's one thing to cap for like a big name. Like people out here capping for Ramirez and for Teofimo, okay? And I'm a fan of both guys, but stop like throwing everything under the bus to protect your dudes. Like that's what you're doing, okay? And you could say, oh, I'm not a fan of that. Oh, yeah, you are, okay? Like when you act different, like there's things called patterns of behavior, okay? And I notice them, and everybody else can notice them. When you act different with certain dudes, people notice. We have data, okay, and like with individuals, okay. And I'll say this: a lot of Ramirez fans and Teofimo fans, more so Teofimo fans, right? They're out here acting like they're allowing Teofimo Sr., who have I had on the show, and he's a great, and honestly, he is a great guy. But and he's going to do whatever he's got to do to protect his son because he loves his son. You think he wants his son near Regis Prograis right now? I don't think he does, right? It doesn't mean that he doesn't believe his son could beat him. It doesn't mean that. It just means maybe not right now. You know what I mean? Maybe we're going to take that risk. You're going to have to pay us to take that fucking risk. And I don't blame him for taking that stance. But that's not, I don't give a fuck, though. I'm a boxing fan, right? Mm-hmm. Remy just brought up, does Prograis deserve 65%? Who's even having that conversation? That's a narrative that Senior just put out there, all right? 65%, that only happens when a challenger is trying to force a fight with the champion and the champion is refusing to fight them. So then eventually it goes to purse bids. A purse bid means we've done everything possible to make this fucking fight. Okay, that is a mandatory. We're going to force you to fight him. And 65-35, it just that's just the split that they do for the champion and the challenger. That's all they do, okay? Now, I'm a person that values a championship. So if it gets to that point, yes, I do believe the champion deserves a bigger cut. Okay, if it gets to that point. But we're not at that point. We're not even close to that. Teofimo has not even been announced as the mandatory. Even when you're announced as the mandatory, they give you time to negotiate in good faith. Okay, and they, you know, they're corrupt anyway, so it's not like they don't stay consistent. But that's the idea behind it. That's the idea behind it. So what, anyone who's already talking about 65-35, you've been duped. Sorry, Remy. Okay, you've been duped by the narrative of senior. That's what you're doing. Oh, but what about Ramirez? Ramirez wants to get married. Ramirez had first bids at the title against the same opponent. He said, no thanks, I'm going to go get married. He went to go get married. God bless, go get married. Okay? That's it. Like he was hearing that the Beyonce song, put a ring on it. You know what I mean?
And nobody, by the way, nobody's saying that Regis deserves, excuse me, 65% because nobody believes that. Nobody believes.
Nobody's even arguing that
against either Teofimo or Jose. Nobody.
And the thing with Jose Ramirez, this is the problem with Jose Ramirez. He already had to fight with Comey set. So before they even started the conversation, Prograis as a man told him man to man, no, it's a small world, guys. People get word of shit. Okay? Like you think like there's YouTubers here that they get fed inside information. You don't think fighters get inside information? Yo, man, you're going to be fighting fucking Comey, right? Is that what you're doing already? No, I'm not. Like, I mean, come on. There was never any good faith negotiations, okay, between those two camps, all right? There just wasn't. I know people have ever worked out a deal with another party with lawyers involved. The way it works, they usually give you a shitty deal, right? And then you send another deal back, and you go back and forth, and you get the lawyers kind of sorted out, right? Until eventually you get at least half of what you want, and they get half of what they want, right? And boxing, maybe it's a little more unbalanced than that. I mean, maybe the champion or the A side gets 60 or 70% of what they want. And it's not just the money, there's more to it, right? But negotiate. Go negotiate. Like, well, they're not negotiating good faith with Regis Prograis. They don't want, like, I don't give a fuck what anybody says. No one's in a rush, Calix, to fight Regis Prograis, okay? And there's a lot of, like you said, quack tendencies going on.
Mm-hmm. And I don't believe that Prograis is unbeatable. Obviously, I thought Josh Taylor could have beat him, could not have beat him. Close fight. All I'm saying is this is tough to watch as a boxing fan. And my last point on this would be, I just value honesty and consistency as a boxing fan. So if you don't care about the belts at this point in your career and you just want the big fights, tell me as a boxing fan. That way I can compartmentalize where I put you as a boxing fan, right? So Ryan and Tank have already telegraphed and told us straight up they don't value the belts. They don't value the traditional way of building themselves up. They don't value that part of the sport. So I know where to put that fight and those fighters going forward. I know where to put it. It's a good fight, but I don't expect either one of those guys to go on to do great things after that fight. I just don't, because I know what they value and it doesn't align with what I value as a boxing fan. And I'd like Jose Ramirez and his team to come out right now, and Teofimo and his team right now to come out and say, you know what? We've been there, done that. We both fought in undisputed, non-undisputed fights. If you're Teofimo, Lomachenko, there's dispute as to whether that was undisputed. We've already been to the mountaintop, taken our shots, won, lost. Now we want big money fights. We don't value the belts. If a guy has a belt and he's a tougher fight, Rick Marisian's out there saying it. We have easier fights for bigger money.
Yeah, like there you go. Like honest. Like just be honest, okay? You're not about, like Nando says, he ain't about that life no more. Like it is what it is. There's only one way. Prove me wrong then. Prove to me that I'm full of shit and go fight Regis Prograis. And if you're not going to do that, I don't want to hear it. I just don't. Okay? I just don't want to hear it, man. And but here's the thing. Here's the thing. Now, Remy's saying Junior said that. I didn't hear him say that. He did say that. He went on a rant saying that the dude don't deserve that, and we're not going to fight him because we're not going to get 35%. Yes, he did do that. Okay, that's a narrative being put out there. Okay, when it comes to when it comes to boxing, all right, this like, and a lot of content creators do this, right? It's one thing if because look, I think we could both agree, Calix, that the term ducking is overused in boxing, right?
Oh yeah.
It's overused. It's a good trigger word to put out there. Oh, he's ducking, ducking. You put in the title, it gets views, whatever. And then, of course, you have, but then you have the opposite. You have guys out here, like what Ali Setback did in that video was all meant to kind of protect Ramirez. That's what it was meant to be, because, and it got the reaction from certain people a certain way, right? Because people came out saying, oh, well, see, even Prograis said that the business gets involved, and oh, I bet people are going to say he's ducking, right? So, I need to put a name out there. It is what it is, Calix. Like, it's going to get uncomfortable in a second here. You know what I mean? But look, gee, fuck you, my dude. Like, you know what I mean? But you can't keep capping for Ramirez and Theo like that. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? It's like you have to just accept the facts, in my opinion, that these dudes aren't in a rush to fight Regis Prograis. It's got to put out there, because you did co-sign that Ali Setback video, and that's what I'm specifically talking about. And you said, oh, I bet people are going to say he's ducking Prograis because of the little clips that Ali Setback was putting out there. You know what I mean? And I'm not sure if we want to go with that. That was a video meant to protect Ramirez. Okay? That was a PR stunt by Ali Setback. All right? That's what that was. Because the one thing that isn't brought up is, who did it say he wasn't going to fight, Calix? That Ali said, oh, don't believe what you hear on the internet.
Richard Comey.
Richard Comey. Who's he fighting?
Richard Comey.
He's going to fight Richard Comey. In a fight that I actually like, by the way. I know you don't like it, but
I don't like it.
Don't like it. You know what I mean?
But none of these guys are unbeatable, man. Like, Regis isn't unbeatable. I like Regis. He's not unbeatable.
He's not unbeatable, but he's dangerous.
At 140 need to take a shot.
That's right.
I'd love that fight. And if they lose, they lose. It is what it
100%. 100%. Hey, De La Hoya, Oscar De La Hoya. He says Tank versus Ryan does 2.5 million buys. I mean, I don't know what trend he's seeing for this to be the case, right? I have no idea. And I'll talk about pay-per-view numbers, kind of how they line up in a moment, but that's a hell of a statement by Oscar De La Hoya. I think this is all. I think his gut is compromised because of the fake abs he's got. You know what I mean? I think so. His gut instinct isn't quite the same. It's been, you know what I mean? Like, hey, he admitted to it. By the way, we were right, and I was right. It is with a needle. Like he said, they go in there and he said they just touched it up. Come on. He said, no, they're not fake. They're my abs. But, they just helped me out a little bit. Like, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. I don't want to make this about his abs, okay? I mean, they're just as fake as his numbers. But what precedent does he have? What algorithm could he possibly be using? Because let's go with the first one that did over 2 million, right? Mm-hmm. De La Hoya Mayweather. Well, De La Hoya was already a proven pay-per-view commodity. De La Hoya had already done 1.4 million at least with Trinidad. He had already done close to 1 million, over 1 million with Hopkins, close to 1 million several times in other fights. Did 900,000 against Mayorga.
Fought a ton of title fights.
Yeah. Plus, he had the resume. He was well known. He was a big name. A lot of stuff. He was a golden boy, gold medalist, right?
Mayweather was pound for pound king.
Mayweather was pound for pound king. He was smaller, so it was believable that Oscar had a shot because he was moving up in weight class. So that was that. Mayweather had already done over 300,000 with Gotti and Vladimir, and with I think he got close to 400 with Gotti actually, or Judah, one of the two. But nonetheless, there was something there to work with, and nobody even predicted 2 million. They said it would break the 1.4 million record, which was possible, right? I could see that, but look at what it did, right? Canelo versus Mayweather. Canelo was on the undercards of Mayweather fights. Mayweather was already doing regularly over 1 million at the time. So, okay. And then you go Mayweather, Pacquiao. Again, both of them already had numbers that resembled that type of success. Like, both of them did over 1 million, right? You know what I mean? Like by themselves against speed level sides, which we never seen before. and it was a fight that was on demand. Everybody and their mother was talking about that fight. Like my grandmother knew about that fight. Mijo, ¿cuándo va a pelear Pacquiao con Mayweather? Like, what? How do you know about this? Right? Everybody was already talking about this fight, bro. And then Mayweather, Connor was already a big pay-per-view draw in the UFC. Mayweather, right? It was a circus show, and people were curious. There you go. What the hell is Oscar going by to say it's going to do over 2 million? What?
By the way, quick super chat. Breaking Virgil versus Stanionis. We talked about that at the top, so you can replay that on the playback to go to the top. Love that fight. We both love that fight. We both like Virgil to win that fight, and D-Style likes him a little easier than I do, but great fight, great matchup. But as far as Tank versus Ryan, I don't know what he's going off of to get to 2.5. I don't know. Like, how do you get to 2.5? The thing is, none of us know what the real numbers are, so we don't know what the trend is supposed to be. But what we do know is if they're lying about the numbers, they're lying up, right? And if they're lying up, it still doesn't get us close to 2.5. So this is Oscar being promoter, getting in promoter mode and talking up the fight. But this is what we do have is two guys who are big on social media, two guys who do transcend the sport to a certain level, not to the level of the guys we just talked about, not to the level of past stars in the sport. It's just not the same market here in America. So 2.5 is far-fetched. I agree with the comment. I think 500,000 is believable. I think that's realistic. I think they can get to that. But it's tough to tell when you have breaking news that the last fight did 61,000, and then you have breaking news a week later that the fight did 200 to 215,000. Either way, not a big mark. And then the Showtime replay of Tank Davis versus Hector Davis did 117,000. I think it peaked at 124,000. Those are small numbers. Yeah. Small numbers. And I mean small numbers these days.
And they don't even do like monster numbers like when they were on like, well, we don't really know much because the zone numbers we don't really know those numbers. But when Tank was fighting on Showtime, for example, he wasn't doing like monster numbers. Like he wasn't doing like 1 million viewers. Quite frankly.
If you look at the numbers a decade ago, if you go back to 2012, and I pulled them up in my podcast last week, 1,000,005, 1,000,007, 1,009,000. These five, I still have them down in my notebook. I can pull them up. 1,009,000.
There's several factors that contribute to that, and one of them, look, I don't even want to go over the list because the one that matters the most is this one. There's less interest in boxing in the United States.
There's less interest. But these numbers, like Cotto versus Trout, 1.4, Showtime. Guerrero versus Berto, 1.1. Chavez Jr., Marco Antonio Barrero, 1.9. Chavez Jr., 1.6 against Andy Lee. Hopkins Dawson, 1.6. Broner Escobedo, 1.4. Donaire versus Arce did 1.3 million in the ratings, and that's a lower weight class fight. Khan versus Molina, 616,000. Pacquiao versus Marquez 4 replay did over 1 million. Mayweather versus Cotto replay did over 1 million. These were fights putting up big numbers a decade ago. It's not
do you remember when Calzaghe fought Kessler?
Yeah.
That fight did like about I forget the number, but it was today would be monstrous numbers, but it was like 1.5 or something like that. Mm-hmm. At the time, like they were starting to question whether should we be putting foreign fighters on HBO? These ratings are atrocious. Like it's the lowest ratings ever. Calzaghe, he's been hiding over there in Wales, and nobody knows who he is. This is proof right here.
And that fight was during the day. It wasn't prime time either.
It was during the day. And you know what Showtime would do like to get those ratings today? Now that was on HBO in fairness, right? But the HBO numbers were even higher. I mean, over 2 million if you go back a couple more years. Because you went back 10. If you go back 15 years, right? We're talking over 2 million viewers on the regular. The Klitschko's, for all the flack they got, the Klitschko's, nobody wants to see them, but they got over 2 million. Like people, over 2 million would watch Vladimir Klitschko fight on HBO.
Yep.
Over 2 million would watch watched Areola versus freaking Vitali. I mean, like, something's up with the sport, brother.
Yep. And Nando, they don't understand the snowball effect. They don't understand that fights between these guys behind me ended up turning into multiple fights and more money and more money and more stardom for those fighters. They don't get it, because if they got it, we'd have Bud versus Spence 3 by now.
They don't. I don't know what it is. It seems to me like the risk scares like even the fans now. It's one thing if I could see like a manager being nervous, like, oh, this is the moment, shit. But fans don't like the risk of boxing. They don't like the risk that their guy might get beat. They don't like the risk that the guy might get humiliated or something. They don't like the fact that they might get knocked out or just lose, right? Or robbed or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? They don't like the fact that maybe they won't look like Superman anymore. Maybe they will win, but they'll look ordinary. Like, like people, they like to believe in something nowadays and just kind of freeze it in time and keep it there. You know what I mean? But that's not how life is. Like, life moves on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everything needs to keep moving. We can't just freeze frame everything the way it is right now. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be champion forever. You can't stay undefeated forever. You can't stay this invincible dude forever, right? Like in the Prograis situation, I want to see if maybe Theo can be Prograis, because this is what happens, Calix.
Yep.
Somebody will avoid a fighter. It's obvious you're avoiding them because they don't want to take the risk, and then they're forced to take the risk, right? And let's say the one that's forced to take the risk wins. The people that were defending that fighter, they rewrite history all of a sudden. Oh, you thought he was avoiding him. He just beat him. What are you going to say now? Like, the fact that he was being avoided doesn't change. Like, that still happened, right? He was forced to take the risk, and it worked out to his favor. He won. But that's our point to begin with. You should have just taken the risk to begin with, right? Like, because we hear that a lot. Like every time a fighter wins a fight, yeah, what are you going to say now? Oh, you're still going to say you avoided him? Like, well, if you avoided him, you avoided him. I don't know what and then now it's worse now, because now guys will do it like in a triangle way. You know what I mean? Like, Mayweather refused to move up to fight Martinez. Cotto moves up to fight Martinez. Cotto beats Martinez. Oh, and you thought Mayweather didn't want to fight Martinez. Well, he didn't want to fight him. He didn't take the risk. Somebody put a tweet out the other day, and I want to read the tweet. So I'm going to bring up the tweet before we proceed. All right. Mm-hmm. And it's not even from a boxing guy. All right. This is actually from one of Conor McGregor's trainers. Okay. So I just want to put it up, if I may. Coach Kavanaugh, he said the following: don't celebrate too hard. Don't commiserate too long. Love plays a bigger role than anyone wants to acknowledge. Highest highs and lowest lows, all that matters is what we do tomorrow. Win or learn, the process is the same the next day. Keep fucking going, okay? So that's that. Just go fight. Shit's going to happen. Luck plays a bigger role than we like to admit. One shot could change everything. But guess what? Boxing is a sport where you can lose, you can bounce back, you can come back. Okay, people love a comeback story, right? Plant's in one right now. More people are paying attention to Plant right now that he lost to Canelo, right? Than they would have if he never fought Canelo. If he ducked Canelo, never fought him, kept the belt with him, less people will give a fuck about this fight.
We need more papers off of paper and into reality. Less theory, more reality.
Yes.
Less mythical fights, more real fights. And that way we can get to the truth. And, you know, to just piggyback off of what you said earlier, I saw somebody say the other day something like, people don't want the truth anymore. They just want their lies believed. They want their lies to be true. And I see that growing trend among boxing fans is they don't want to find out if their favorite fighter can beat this guy who looks like they can't, it looks like my fighter can't beat that guy. I don't want to find out. I'd rather just
but it's worse now, Calix. Now I think my guy could beat him, but he might not. Like he might, like there's a chance he might not beat him.
There's
You know what I
only
mean?
a 75% chance, so let's not take that
Yeah,
75%
like, they don't
chance.
want to
Let's
take any
fight the guy where we
risks.
have a 95% chance of beating.
And we're in an age now where, when it was first, if you remember, we did a show, Power Punchers, before, and we had announced that Tim Zhu, he's going to fight Jamal, right? We had somebody in the chat saying, "Oh, that's a stupid move. He's going to lose." Like, what do you want these? Like, so you guys don't want fighters to take fights if there's a possibility they could lose, or they're not the favorite?
Right.
Only take fights. Like, if every fighter thought that way, oh, it's stupid to take a fight if you could lose, right? Then no one's ever going to fight.
Nobody's ever going to take chances.
And if he does, how does it make him stupid if he lose? Like this, so fighters shouldn't take challenges no more. They shouldn't try to go for the belts no more because they're going to be called stupid. This is the language we're using now. When fighters take risks and chances, we're calling them stupid, and we're wondering. This is the fans, by the way, Alex. Yeah. And we're wondering why these fighters don't want to take risks. They don't want to get called stupid. They don't want to get called frauds. Like, of course that runs through their minds. Like, and this is the fans doing this. So what are you gonna do?
That's right. And one last thing I'll say on Tank is this is uncharted territory for him if this fight does go through in April, because it's the first time where they've had an expensive B-side, so the fight has to sell. And on top of that, it's the first fight he's really been in to where there's some danger here. This is a bigger guy who can punch. I know you're draining him down, but it's a bigger guy who can punch. We can't go into this fight taking a couple rounds off, 3-4 rounds off at the beginning and try to measure this guy because we might give up too many rounds. What if he does have a chin? We don't know. So uncharted territory here for Tank Davis going into this fight. Now, another PBC pay-per-view that was announced recently was Plant versus Benavidez. And I want to get the chat's opinion on this. Is this proper value here? Benavidez is right around minus 220, a little over 2-1 favorite against Plant. Now, when I first saw this come out, I saw people saying, whoa, too close of odds. I think Benavidez should be a bigger favorite against Caleb Plant than that. It just seems to be a trend out there of people thinking that Benavidez is going to roll through Plant, that this is going to be an easier fight for him. At least that's what I'm seeing out there. I like Plant to pull off the upset. I think this is a good stylistic matchup for Plant. Benavidez has some things he can take advantage of as well, but Plant can throw that left hand. He can time. He's got good lateral movement. He knows how to use his feet in there. This is going to be a good fight, and I think it's a good fight that goes the distance.
I don't know if it goes the distance. Look, I don't think low of Plant. I think Plant's a good fighter. He's underrated jab, has a really good jab. He's also a situational fighter. He's not like a pattern fighter. So he sets things up. He times things. He's just high IQ fighter and everything. The problem with with Plant is the gas tank. That's the main issue. If you watch the Ustakati fight, he was controlling the fight. Even dropped him. It looked like he was going to cruise to a pretty easy decision, and then something happened in the second half. He ran out of gas, and Ustakati made it close towards the end. Right, he made it a tough fight. If you watch the Canelo fight, Canelo's not even like this big pressure guy like that, but he stayed in front of him, stayed at mid-range the whole time, and made him work, made him move, and that got to Plant. You know what I mean? Because it exerted a lot of energy boxing that way, and the Plant did fairly well, but I mean, he ran out of gas after the ninth. So Benavidez is a very high volume guy. And the one thing Plant's going to have to do in this fight, I think, like, he's going to have to, first of all, how do you bring down volume in a boxing fight? You got to counter, right? Mm-hmm. So Plant's going to have to be the counter puncher. So maybe he'll counter punch in a way that slows down the volume and slows down the pressure that Plant puts on him. Benavidez, puts on him. I just don't think it's going to be enough. I just think he'll start well, and the gas tank's going to run low. And I think Benavidez stops him late.
So here's a couple things to look at going into this fight. This is a step up for Benavidez, as one of people at Hard Times Boxing said in the chat. This is a step up for Benavidez. It's not a step up for Plant, because Plant's been in there with a guy like Canelo.
Sure.
So that's number one. The second thing to look at here is what Nando is bringing up here. 22 by 22 ring. There is going to be a bigger ring here. So look out for that as well. There's going to be a bigger ring in this fight, and that favors Caleb Plant, who's going to be trying to get away from Benavidez's big shots. Also, another thing to look out for is how long can Benavidez comfortably make 168? That's a guy that he's a big dude. He's a guy who walks around north of 200. So how long can he continue to drain and get down? And here's the other thing to look at is there's a second fight with a new trainer for Caleb Plant. They seem to have good chemistry, and also a new strength and conditioning coach from what I hear as well. So those are things to look at. Will he have a better game plan, a smarter game plan than he has had in the past? And will he have more in the tank? Those are all question marks. And that's why I love this fight, is we need more fights like this. It goes back to what we talked about earlier, right? It's those fights that, you know what? I don't know if that guy can win that fight. I don't know if this guy can win that fight. Yeah, Benavidez, he's favored, but he's only favored by about 60%. It's like a 60-40 fight. What happens? What happens there? This is the first fight like that for Benavidez.
Yeah.
We're going to start to get to the truth here. Because if he blows through Plant, like if he mows Plant down, I mean, then we're talking. And then you're going to start to hear the chorus of Canelo, you got to fight Benavidez now. You have to fight him now. This is the fight. This is the fight.
Like, it wasn't like it's like he blows out like freaking the dudes he's been blowing out lately, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that Lemieux. And like, oh, you got it. Like nobody was saying that. Like, oh man, you got to fight him now, Canelo. Look at what he did to Lemieux. Like nobody was saying that. But there's fights that, yes, it does happen. You do this to Plant. And this is how fights have always been made. You beat somebody better than the champion did. Okay? You beat somebody better than that big name did, and people will start talking. That's how when Haddon knocked out Castillo, right? Even though as educated boxing fans, we knew Castillo was past it, but still, he calls him out, right? And people start talking, oh, well, he knocked out Castillo. I mean, Castillo arguably beat Mayweather, and then people start talking. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I agree that this is a fight that makes it's interesting. People will talk. The closer we get to the fight, the more people are going to feel it, honestly. But I'm standing firm on my prediction. I think Plant will be up on the scorecards, by the way, which is going to make it interesting. While I'm watching live, like it's like, because I don't know if the guys think I'm betting that it is, but I don't know it's going to run out. So it's going to be an interesting fight to watch for sure. I think Plant is the better boxer in terms of X's and O's, and you know, if stamina wasn't an issue, I think he easily outboxes Benavidez, quite frankly. But I have to factor that in, and I think that's what makes the fight interesting, right? Can Plant sustain that, right? And then what makes it even like, I don't want to make too much of the knockout because he's not like on a knockout streak or anything. But like, if Plant were to knock out Benavidez, bro, like, I wouldn't be against a Canelo fight at that point, because he's done the things necessary to put himself in position. Like, I've never liked immediate rematches, you know, but like, I do like a guy being able to work himself way back up and get another opportunity, right? That's what sports are all about. You know what I mean? Like it's the way it is. Like, I want the Bills to get another crack at the Bengals. Right. They may have to wait till next year. They're gonna have to go through a whole season, go deep in the playoffs to maybe get that crack, or the Chiefs, right? The same thing here. I think Plant's done that, and he's back in position.
Yeah, it's like what we were talking about after Teofimo versus Lomachenko. It's like, no, you don't deserve the immediate rematch. You work your way back up. Teofimo rightfully won the fight. We all thought he clearly won the fight. If you Lomachenko, work yourself back up 2 or 3 fights until you get Lomachenko. You can corner Teofimo again if you want to do it that way. But I'm with you. Like, if the fight isn't great, if it doesn't provide some sort of entertainment value or close fight, I'm not for an immediate rematch either. work your way back up, and we'll see what happens after that.
The other thing for Plant, though, and Benavidez is they're both younger than Canelo. Okay? Yeah. So Canelo's getting older. They're still within their prime, right? If anything, Benavidez is stepping into his prime, right? Which I always found it laughable. Like, what do people think Canelo's doing with Benavidez? Aging him out? Like, if anything, it would have been better to fight Benavidez now before Benavidez gets the experience of a fight with a Plant right now. You know what I mean? Before you allow him to sharpen his blade, because steel sharpens steel. So you don't allow the guy, that's the whole thing. Don't allow the guy to sharpen his blade some more, right? And you get him at the right time. So if anything, if Canelo was being strategic with Benavidez, it would have been dumb to not fight him now, right? I just think it's all been circumstantial. There's just been better fights for Canelo than Benavidez. That's all it was, right? Like the guys with the belts. Like that's who he was fighting, all right? And then he moved up to fight Bivol, right? Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, and before somebody says, by the way, before somebody brings up, what's that dude's name that he fought right after Callum Smith?
Who's that, Canelo?
Yeah, the tune-up.
Oh, Yildirim.
Oh, yeah, before somebody brings up Yildirim. Because that's what. But he fought Yildirim, though. Mandatory. Okay, he was going to fight Callum Smith, and 2 months later, he was going to fight Benavidez, and 2 months later, he was going to fight. Like, use your fucking heads, okay?
Yeah. Yeah, apples, oranges. Now, I like this analogy here. It could be Cotto Margarito. Cotto, the better pure boxer, but Margarito, the bigger guy who is just going to keep coming forward.
The thing is that Benavidez is fast.
He's a big dude, man. He's a handful.
And he's got fast hands. Like I think Plant's feet are faster. All right. I think Plant's quicker overall as a fighter, but the hand speed, and I got to give that to Benavidez, but it's going to be very, very interesting. So obviously, look, the closer we get to the fights, the more we'll talk about them. This is one of them. I just want to go ahead and, say this before we end it. Just kind of finish any final lingering thoughts I have about this. Look, we need to be the operators that help make these fights happen. Mm-hmm. As fans, we need to encourage the fights to happen. We need to focus on what's better for us, what's better for the boxing fan, what's better for the sport as a whole, right? Don't allow as guys like Espinosa to lecture fans after the pay-per-view saying, oh, and the fans were saying these weren't good fights and da, da, da. Like, you don't get to decide that, Espinosa. Okay, you don't get to decide that, right? You don't get to tell us what's good for business when we are, okay, what funds the fucking business. Name me one other business that tells people, no, you don't know what's better. We'll tell you what's better. No, you don't need that. We'll tell you what you need. You don't go to Walmart. Imagine going to Walmart, you're walking down the aisle and you start getting stuff, and then a Walmart employee comes over and he grabs it from your cart, puts it back in the aisle, and gives you the other brand. Oh, this one's better. At first, you might think it's a joke, or you might think maybe they mean well, but no, thank you. You're going to put it back and grab yours. But in boxing, they just keep doing it over and over. And you got guys like Espinosa, right? They're like, you're going to buy this and you're going to like it. And if you complain, you're not a real boxing fan, right? That's what they do. No other business. Go to McDonald's, you're going to order a Big Mac, okay? You expect a Big Mac. If they give you a $6 burger from Denny's, right? In my opinion, it's better than the Big Mac, but it's not the Big Mac. I want the Big Mac. That's what I ordered. In boxing, we're fans, we're ordering fights. Okay, I'm looking at the menu and I'm saying, oh, those two are the best. Oh, I want to see them fight. Ooh, make that. That's what I want. No, that's not what you're going to get. You're going to get him against this guy. Well, he's not even on the menu. We don't give a shit. You're going to get what we tell you. You're going to like it, right? And then you have dudes in line, because that's what boxing fans do, telling you that's what's good. Now, who are you to say that that's not good? Who are you to, like, because I'm the dude ordering the shit. I'm going to order a Big Mac. They're going to give me a Whopper and shit. No, the Whopper's better, bro. Like, if I wanted a Whopper, I would go to fucking Burger King. All right? No, but look, they're doing you a favor. Now you don't have to get in your car and drive to Burger King. Right? They're giving it to you right there. Just like it. It's not what I want. I don't care. And then they're grabbing you from both arms. They're tying you up, and they're shoving it down your throat. They're shoving it like that's what they're doing. Stop keeping me from ordering what I fucking want. If I want to watch some motherfuckers fight Prograis, that's called demand. We're the demand of the sport. Demand it. Stop justifying. No, I understand it because, Prograis, I don't know. Really? Do people really fear Prograis? Is anybody really like what are you doing? Prograis is one of the champions right now. Okay? Like, do you not want to see him fight the best? I want to see him fight the best. That's it. Don't tell me, oh, no, you can't say that. Oh, Ramirez, he's with Top Rank and Sides of the Streets. He's with, what's his promotional company? With Prograis? What's it called?
Pro Bellum.
Oh, he's with Pro Bellum. He's with this. And you guys know everything for all the wrong reasons. We shouldn't know the business of boxing so we could justify and all that. That's not what we're doing. We're supposed to know the business so we can call out the bullshit. Not like enhance the bullshit. We're supposed know it, educate yourself, okay? Like you learn how, like if you want to learn how hackers work, you're not doing it so you can hack yourself. You're doing it to stop hackers from hacking you, right? That's it. I have a security system in my house, right? There's a camera outside. I don't have it so I could help the dude burglarize my house, okay? Hey, homie, yo, hold on. The code is 1489. Okay, I got some money. Look, man, if I was in your shoes, I understand where you're coming from. You know what I mean? You might have some hard times. I'm going to help you out. Go ahead and get, I got $200 bills, under the bed right there, under the mattress. Go ahead and get that. I got a nice watch that cost me like $200. I have that in the drawer. That's how I have it. Okay, so if you're going to learn the business of boxing, if you're going to know how the boxing business works, I don't want to hear, oh, well, they're doing that because it makes sense because this is an easier fighter, and I would do that if I was a manager. Okay, but you're not the manager, right? Are you getting paid? No. So that's you use that to call out the bullshit. That's what you do. But that's my final thought. That was a long rant, but hey, that's my final thought.
No, that's good, and I'll piggyback off that real quick. Is here I'll try to help out the fanagers. Let's get this sentence out of our vocabulary. But it's a business. There's no need for boxing fans to use that sentence right there or that phrase. But it's a business.
Hey, why charge me $20 for the Big Mac? Yeah. You know what? It's a business, so I get it. Here.
Let Espinoza use that terminology. Let Ellerby use it. Let Floyd use it. Let Bob use it. Let Trust Fund Eddie use it. Let Oscar use it. Let all those guys, Rick Marijan, let them use that terminology. But it's a business. Your job as a boxing fan is to hold their feet to the fire and say, no, it's a sport. It's a sport. To us, it's a sport. So, as long as it's within reason, okay, we'll let you slide with that. But it's our job to check you. That's the checks and balances here. That's the checks and balances. As boxing fans, we demand certain fights, and we expect we know we're not going to get 100% of them, but we expect a reasonable percentage of them to fall in our lap, right? And when that percentage has drastically gone down, and I still hear boxing fans use the phrase, but it's a business, that's where I have the issues. Less fights on paper, more fights on my TV. Less fights being built on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. More fights being built through other fights. More Canelo versus Benavidez being by Canelo or Caleb versus Benavidez. If Benavidez beats Caleb, now you're through the door. Now you've given us something. Now we can build that fight, right? More fights being built through other fights, traditional over new. And that's my final thought as well. Where are we going to be? Monday, we back, right? We're right back Monday. HCP's twice a week now.
It's twice a week, so make sure you guys tune in. This is D-Style Boxing. And for Calix, it's a wrap. We're out. Peace.